Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. Dawn Busters is getting later in the morning because, during this time of daylight savings time, during this period of daylight savings time, it's darker later in the morning. And I set the thing to start at 5:30 Central Time, but you can't set it at the quarter hour before or after, okay? So I would have to either set it at 5:30 or 6. And then if I set it at 6, I can't start till 6. So it's convenient to set it at 5:30 and it gives me that time period within that range. Today, we have Early Times, introduced in 1860, versus Jim Beam Bourbon. That's Kentucky whiskey. This is Jim Beam Bourbon, introduced in 1938. You say, no, 1795. Well, actually, the distillery was founded somewhere around 1795. It, like so many, was kaput during Prohibition, and then the man, Jim Beam, part of the Beam family, brought it back into prominence. So it was the brand was named after him in 1938. I know the copyright, I believe it was the trademark for this, I believe, was secured on, if I remember, May 13th, 1938, something like that. Okay, so anyway, 1938, 80 proof now. They both used to be higher, but everything got dropped. Pretty much all the mainline whiskeys got dropped to 80 proof. Okay, this is a bourbon because it's aged in new charred oak barrels. That is a Kentucky whiskey now because it is aged in used barrels. This is a Beam Suntory brand. That's a Brown-Forman brand. What's going to happen? Here's my hypothesis. Okay. It goes like this. If I pour two whiskeys, Jim Beam Original and Early Times, in the same size glasses at the same amount, both being at the same temperature, room temperature, then I will be able to clearly differentiate the Jim Beam from the Early Times based on the noticeable mossy character of Jim Beam. Okay, now that's the hypothesis. We're going to see about the if. We're going to definitely see the if part. If I pour it, because I'm going to do that. Then, now I don't know if then's going to happen. Okay, so let's go with Early Times first, since it's the older brand. It's been called Early Times continuously since 1860. I'm sorry, 1860. Okey-doke. And Jim Beam. Jim Beam is aged 4 years, in Early Times only 3. That's another difference. So 4-year bourbon. Still got a lot left, boy. Do a lot of taste challenges. A whole bunch left here. Appearance. Same golden amber, not orange or just gold, yellow gold, like corn. Makes sense. They're made from corn, but of course it's not the corn giving it that color, because when they're poured into the barrels, they're clear, liquid, clear. Corn syrup is clear. If you look at that, of course this is distillate. They cut the proof with water, dilute it so it's not so strong. Being in the charred oak barrels gives it the color. Neither one of these use coloring like caramel coloring. They are naturally colored from the char, the charcoal and the wood. Even though one's a year older than the other in the barrel, it doesn't seem to make a difference on the appearance. All right. So now some people will ask me oftentimes, like, do you think you could tell? I'm trying to see something here. Do you think you could tell Blanton's from Four Roses? Well, I don't have enough experience. I've tried Four Roses. I tried Blanton's once. So no, I couldn't tell them apart because I don't have any experience, except that I thought they both tasted good. But to tell them apart, no. This is difficult because I still don't have enough experience drinking these. So I would have to do a lot of sampling. Now with the beers, even with things I've tasted hundreds of times in 21 years, I still have trouble telling some of those apart because they're so similar. Now, if I did Busch and Schlitz, no, I think Schlitz would very easily be differentiated. Now, with practice on these, yeah, I'm starting to get a handle on the flavors. Like we've been saying, the blind taste test is the key because people will claim things, oh yeah, it's so easy to tell them apart. Have you done a blind taste test? They might say, I don't need to. My contention would be, yes, you do need to. Because that wipes away any looking at the label, any preconceived notions. I tried to feed my Hangout last night through Google Chrome, but you might notice during the Hangout, the audio on my end started to deteriorate. So I jumped over to Microsoft Edge / Internet Explorer, and the problems immediately dissipated. They were gone. Now, they didn't dissipate, they disappeared immediately. It's telling us something. And then Jean-Pierre routed his through my Internet Explorer. No audio problems. I mean, he had clanking noise and loud banging in the background because he always does that. But you could hear it clearly. There was no twang or banjo sound. Okay. The aroma. Whoa. It's a strong whiskey aroma. Wood. Okay, you know. Strong whiskey aroma, wood, hey, you know. So I can't really pick up much difference on the aroma, honestly. Let's go with the taste. So if I had to do a smell test, I don't think I could tell them apart. But taste, I think the Jim Beam is going to shine out. Now, some people say that's a bad shine. In other words, they don't like that whole character that it has. Most people do, but some people, you have your Jim Beam just haters out there. The wood, the wood, the wood, the taste commonly associated with whiskey as the U.S. government describes it. Sweetness, underlying corn, little char, maybe some of that greenwood and that moss. Okay, well, let's see. All that. Need more. Okay. See, I think that's Jim Beam over there because I'm picking up more moss. I was calling it cellar mold. It's some of that in green wood. It's very strange. Unique, though. Now, the Old Crow in the early times, I couldn't tell them apart. Here comes the Kansas City Southern. Yeah, I usually pass around right before 6 a.m. Have a tendency to do that. That's a switch track right there, like a, you know, they'll park the train and then they'll get off, and I notice they'll change cars. And sometimes they'll block the highway. We have no underpasses for train tracks anywhere around here. There's one in New Orleans. Exactly one. But then it fills with water. That was built in 1960. And it fills with water, that viaduct. It's more like an aqueduct when it rains hard. We all our roads around here go over the tracks. If it's too low, the land here is too low, so they'll build a bridge over the tracks. If you go to Tennessee, you know, that's all underneath the road. They'll dig it down. All right. This one seems a lot sweeter. Well, how about the quality? Like, which one's way better? Neither. So if I'm getting one or the other, and chances are I'll never repurchase either one because of the long march through the brands. Just like with beer, occasionally I'll circle back, double back, and get a craft beer that I had before or macro. But generally, I'm just trudging along, right? Trying another brand, another brand, another brand. And this day in the craft beer world, with thousands of brands, it becomes even less purposeful. Like, so I try this craft beer. Oh, I like it. It's an A. And you try another one, and you say, I like it. It's an A minus. And another guy tries another one. Oh, I tried this as a B plus. Or they use a number system. That's a 94. That's a 90. That's an 88. So it is trying different things. And you see on YouTube, everybody's trying everything. But to what purpose? None, really. I never watch beer reviews or whiskey reviews or brandy reviews or any other reviews, I guess, or wine, for a product I've not tried. I don't do it because I can't relate to it. And some people will be insulted, like, why you didn't watch my review? Nothing against you. I mean, sometimes it is because I don't like their reviewing style. But generally, it's because I can't relate to the product. So if it's a beer I've had or a whiskey I've had or a wine I've had or a brandy I've had, or, you know, I'll watch it. I'll watch the hangout or the review, the recorded review, because then I can relate to it. And I can say, yeah, I tried it. I found it was a little thin in the body, had too much hops relative to the body, like with a Beta, that session IPA. I'm about to watch Rick Moore. He did, so I'll watch it because I had it. I'll be curious to see what he says about it. Just like I watched his Pumpkinhead. I was curious to see what he'd say about Pumpkinhead. But I got a whole cabinet full of stuff, and I keep saying I'm not going to buy anymore. And then I'll see something, and I'll say I'll never see it again. Even it might be some cheap, obscure whiskey, but I say I got to buy it. You know, gotta buy it. No, want to buy it. So call me in 80 years, and I might come back to Jim Beam. I think this is Jim Beam, okay? It's just got too much mossy greenwood. I'm going to call it now. I think this is Jim Beam. But which one's better? I can't say one is better than the other. One more taste. Yeah, it's a tie. So shop price, shop price. What do I always say? Shop price, shop price, shop. This one is a little more peppery. Must have more rye. $8.99 for early times. $12.99 for Jim Beam. I think I'll save $4 and get the early times, which is certainly not worse. Certainly not worse. Okay, so Jim Beam, I did it. 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 It's just too noticeable now. So whether you like Jim Beam or not, I think you can make a strong argument that it has a unique flavor. Now, probably, not certainly, probably in 2 days from now, I'll do another taste challenge for whiskey, and it'll be Jim Beam Choice versus early times. Early times introduced 1860. Jim Beam Choice, hey, introduced in 1957, age 5 years in the new charred oak barrels. Discontinued in 2017, so it lasted exactly 60 years and they killed it. But it's age 5 years, like I said, not 4, and it's charcoal filtered. But that's over. No more charcoal filtering at Beam Suntory, apparently. It was an expense they didn't want to have. Now, my friend David Garlapede over there in Jefferson Parish said there's no comparison, because I bought him a bottle of the Choice when I was in Frankfort, Kentucky. He said, so much better than Jim Beam. I said, you really think so? Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'm not too sure about that myself, but he claimed it was. Now, Schlitz Gold Bull, you know, that super strong malt liquor, 8.5%. It's charcoal filtered. Now, where do they have a charcoal filtration system? At Fort Worth, Texas. Apparently, there's some place where they do it with just a handful of brands, maybe only one brand, the Schlitz Gold Bull, BSL. I don't know. He claimed it made a huge difference when we compared the Gold Bull with the original Blue Bull. I don't know if it did, but I probably don't have it. He seems to be able to pick out things that I can't pick out. And the mystery lady was picking that up too. And they were just saying, oh, no, it's no comparison. Oh, they were going on and on and on until the break of dawn. And they were saying how different. So I said, well, I might be more limited or not. I'm just not as good at it. So with taste tests, I can only be as good as I can be. All right, so thank you for watching this video production. So the early times did fine. The Jim Beam original did fine, but the Jim Beam was clearly identifiable. So my hypothesis turned out to be correct this one time. You say, well, that proves a lot. It doesn't prove anything, because it has to be replicated. If you do some, study science enough, there has to be replication. Now, if I did it 5 times and got it right 5 times, well, now we might have established something. But I'm not going to do it 5 times. I'm not going to do it ever again, because I'm going to go through the brands. I'm just practicing. You say this is not the game. This is just practice. We're not talking about the game. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice.